The Rangers took game one of their first-round matchup against the Capitals, so let's talk about what that win meant for the series with Rangers and NHL insider Jonny Lazarus. Jay Lazzy in the building. My man, how you feeling, baby?
I'm good, Brandon. Fun night last night. Fun weekend at the Garden. The Rangers and Knicks sweep game one, so vibes are high here in New York City today.
Great time to be in New York, man. Let's break down this game. And I understand it's only one game in a 7-game series, but was that a statement win for the Rangers to kick off the series?
To me, it's a statement win for many reasons. Not only does Matt Rempe score the first goal of the playoffs, which a lot of people even questioned if he'd play in a playoff game, but Artemi Panarin gets a big goal as well. And Panarin has a lot of criticism heading into this year's postseason after not scoring in last year's playoffs. For him to get that goal last night, which actually ends up being the game-winning goal, it's so big for his confidence moving forward. And to me, there were a lot of concerns going into this series about the Rangers play at 5-on-5, and everyone loves to call them power play merchants. Well, what happens? Their power play goes 0 for 2, and they get secondary scoring from their fourth line who contributes for 2 goals. Jimmy Vesey gets 1, and Matt Rempe gets the other. So you get scoring from everyone throughout the lineup. Chris Kreider adds a breakaway goal in the end of the game. And to me, that's a big statement because you can now count on other guys outside of the big names like Panarin, Zibanejad, Kreider, Fox to score you goals when you get goals from Vesey and Rempe. And Barclay Goodrow had a hell of a game as well. So they made life pretty easy on Igor Shesterkin, and you don't say that often when you watch the Rangers. So to me, that is a huge statement win for this team.
Absolutely. And I think another statement was how physical yet composed they were throughout the night. Can you kind of talk to us about how, if they matched the Capitals' physicality on the night and how aggressive this Rangers team was?
Well, everything between the whistles I thought was pretty even. It was the after whistle stuff that the Capitals want to get themselves a little bit more emotionally in the game when they're down, 3 goals and whatnot. And you typically see teams like that get frustrated in the third period. Tom Wilson, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, and Dylan McIlrath were the ones trying to mix it up a little bit after the whistles. And Tom Wilson had 2 pretty late hits on Mika Zibanejad, but the Rangers didn't lose their emotion. You saw a little bit in the third period. Dylan McIlrath actually went and challenged Matt Rempe, and Rempe just looked at him and smiled. And there's no better message to send. When someone wants to fight you and you just smile at them, you have the upper hand. So kudos to Matt Rempe for keeping his cool. But I thought the Rangers stayed composed throughout the entire night when guys like Tom Wilson were running around and trying to, make the game a little bit more interesting than it really was in the scoreboard.
Matt Rempe kept his cool, and he brought the juice in the second. Thoughts on the Rangers' second period as a complete team?
Well, first of all, great quote by Rempe in the postgame. Molly asked him if his mom being in the building for the first time gave him extra juice, and he said, "I always got juice," with a big laugh. So, the energy was there right from puck drop. John Brancy, credit to him. The anthem singer does a phenomenal job, most Ranger home games, and you could feel the energy in the crowd right from warm-up. But the team did a really good job at keeping their emotions in check, staying even-keeled. And, I talked to Jimmy Vesey earlier last week about quantifying pressure. With the Rangers winning the President's Trophy, everyone wants to talk about how they have the most pressure to deliver in the first round and get the President's Trophy curse off their backs. Well, last night was a pretty strong indication that they're not worried about anything, and they're treating every game, no matter who the opponent is, like it's the biggest game of the year, which it is. So, I thought they did a really good job in all aspects of the game last night.
All right, let's talk some X's and O's. Head coach Peter Laviolette was coaching in his 155th career playoff game. How does his playoff coaching experience put these guys in the best position to win game one?
Well, not only is it his playoff coaching experience, but his experience against this team as well. Alexander Ovechkin, Peter Laviolette, people forget, coached the Capitals for the last 3 seasons prior to taking this job with the Rangers. So he knows a lot of the ins and outs of the personnel on this team. Alexander Ovechkin, who I was just going to say a second ago, doesn't even register a shot on goal last night, and that's the most dangerous goal scorer of this entire generation and probably of the sport. When it's all said and done, he'll be the best goal scorer in the history of the game. So the fact that Ovechkin, who is probably the most dangerous player on the other team, doesn't even register a shot on goal, the Capitals go 0 for 4 on the power play, a power play that's been very dangerous for the past decade. It just tells you a lot about how Laviolette, I think, prepared this group for what to expect with their opponent. And there was no point in last night's game where the Rangers lost control, and I think a lot of that has to do with Laviolette. He double-shifted Artemi Panarin a few times here and there, and it was a very well-coached game. And I know the last question was about the second period, but I think what was big for the game and for the Rangers in that second period was that the game opened up a little bit. The first period, There was a lot of whistles, a lot of special teams. Second period was more 5-on-5. They let the guys play, and once the Rangers got the first one, the momentum was just in the building, and they ran with it from there.
All right, let's look ahead to Game 2. Do you see any changes being made on the Rangers side of things, and how do they walk or skate out of the Garden up 2-0?
I don't see anything big changing for the Rangers, but for the Capitals, I know Nick Jensen and Rasmus Sandin, two guys in their back end, did not play in Game 1, so if the Capitals can get those two guys healthy in Game 2, it might be a little bit of a boost for them. As far as it goes for the Rangers, though, they defended really well. They smothered the Capitals for the majority of the game. Washington had a really hard time generating offense at 5-on-5. Like I said before, Igor Shesterkin had a pretty easy night for him. I mean, we're used to hearing 5 to 6 Igor chants at Madison Square Garden almost every home game. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 last night, and just credit to how the guys played so well in front of him. So I think the only thing you can really clean up is the execution on the power play. They got 2 chances in the first period. They didn't score, and if they score a power play goal a little bit earlier in that game, maybe it's not as close midway through. So that's the only note I have on what they can do a little bit better. I thought it was a really impressive effort, though, from start to finish.
All right, Johnny, tell the people where they can find you.
Just on Twitter, JLazzy23. All my stuff is there. Also, you can tune into Morning Cup of Hockey every Monday through Thursday morning, 9 to 10 a.m. on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. But, Brandon, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and hopefully I'll be making appearances here through late June.
Absolutely, man.